Florida, the Sunshine State. A land of theme parks, palm trees, and poolside cocktails. Every year, millions of visitors flock to its beaches and famous attractions. The tourism brochures promise endless summer days and warm ocean breezes. It sounds like paradise. But beneath the surface of this holiday destination lurks something far darker. Some of Florida's most elegant hotels have secrets they cannot hide. A gangster shot dead on the 13th floor, whose ghost still plays pranks on guests. A young boy's skeleton discovered at the bottom of a water cistern, his spirit still running through the hallways. A woman brushing her hair in a mirror, even though she has been dead for over a century. Major League Baseball players too frightened to sleep in their hotel rooms. These are not local legends. These are documented accounts from hotel guests, staff members, and paranormal investigators spanning nearly 200 years. From Key West to St. Augustine, here are the 10 creepiest hotels in Florida. Number 10. The Colony Hotel in Delray Beach. On the sun-drenched coast of Delray Beach stands a Mediterranean revival masterpiece that has welcomed guests since 1926. The Colony Hotel was the vision of Charles and Julia Dexter, designed by Martin Luther Hampton during the height of the Florida land boom. Step inside and you will find much of the original architecture preserved exactly as it appeared nearly a century ago. An old-fashioned elevator still carries guests to their rooms. Faded photographs line the corridors, showing generations of holidaymakers who have passed through these doors. But locals will tell you that the Colony has maintained something else as well, something less tangible. The building sits mere steps from the ocean, and those who study such things claim that proximity to water helps preserve what they call residual energy. Guests report cold spots in the hallways where no draft exists. Staff members speak of footsteps in empty corridors. The Colony Hotel remains beautiful, but beneath its historic facade lies a reputation for being one of the most haunted places in the region. A haunted seaside hotel is unsettling enough. But what happens when the ghost of a murdered prostitute kisses you on the cheek at midnight? Number 9. The Island Hotel in Cedar Key. Off the Gulf Coast lies Cedar Key, a fishing village frozen in time. At its heart stands the Island Hotel, constructed in 1859 using seashell tabby and oak supports. The building is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, a testament to its significance in Florida history. Today, it offers just 10 guest rooms, but according to staff and locals, the Island Hotel plays host to at least 13 permanent occupants. None of them are alive. The most tragic story involves a young boy hired to sweep up and help around the property after the Civil War. One afternoon, the manager spotted the child putting something in his pocket. Assuming the boy was stealing, he chased him out the back door. The child was never seen again. About a year later, workers cleaning out the basement water cistern discovered the skeletal remains of a child at the bottom. The cistern was roughly 5 feet deep and held over 2,000 gallons of water. The boy had apparently climbed in to hide, where he drowned in the darkness. To this day, guests report seeing a young boy running through the corridors late at night. His footsteps echo on the wooden floors before fading into silence. But the Island Hotel harbors other spirits as well. Rooms 27 and 28 are visited by the ghost of a murdered prostitute. Witnesses describe her as shy but friendly. She sits on the edge of the bed in the middle of the night and kisses guests on the cheek. Then she disappears in a smoky haze, leaving behind only the faint scent of perfume. 13 spirits fighting for space in 10 rooms is unnerving, but our next hotel has a ghost so determined to stay that she made a vow from beyond the grave. Number 8. Marrero's Guest Mansion in Key West. In 1889, a Cuban cigar maker named Francisco Marrero built an elegant mansion on Key West. He had fallen in love with a young woman named Enriqueta, and he built the house to lure her to the island. There was only one problem. Francisco was already married. His first wife stayed in Cuba, unaware of his secret life. For years, Francisco and Enriqueta lived happily, raising 8 children together. Then, Francisco died. His first wife arrived with lawyers, ready to claim what was hers. Enriqueta was banished with nothing. Distraught and penniless, forced to raise 8 children alone, she made a promise. If she could not call the mansion home in life, she would live there in death. She kept her word. The mansion is now Marrero's Guest Mansion, a bed and breakfast for adults only. Over the years, guests and staff have reported strange occurrences. The scent of lavender drifts through rooms where no flowers exist. Guests sleeping in Enriqueta's former bedroom wake to find a woman sitting at the foot of the bed, brushing her hair at the vanity mirror. She turns to look at them, then vanishes. The chandelier in the dining room sways when certain guests arrive, as if Enriqueta is expressing disapproval. Most disturbing are the sounds of children. Giggles echo through the hallways and stairwell. Babies cry in the night. But Marrero's guest mansion is strictly adults only. No children are permitted to stay. A woman's promise to haunt her stolen home forever is chilling. But our next hotel is so terrifying that professional athletes refuse to sleep there. Number 7. The Vinoy Renaissance in St. Petersburg. Rising like a pink palace along the waterfront stands the Vinoy Renaissance Resort. Locals call it the Pink Lady. Built in 1925, it served as a playground for America's wealthy elite until it closed in the 1970s and sat empty for years. Its ballrooms fell silent. Its corridors gathered dust. When it reopened under new ownership, restored to its former grandeur, something else had taken up residence during those abandoned years. Reports of ghostly apparitions began almost immediately. The most compelling testimony came from Major League Baseball players. When the Toronto Blue Jays stayed during spring training, pitchers Joey Hamilton and Billy Koch were spooked by lights flickering throughout the night. Hitting coach Cito Gaston reported that his hotel room door, which he had locked and secured with the chain, kept opening in the middle of the night and slamming shut. Manager Jim Fregosi experienced the same phenomenon. In 2003, Boston Red Sox player Scott Williamson woke feeling pressure on his back, struggling to breathe. When he turned over, he saw a man in a top hat standing over him, staring down. The figure vanished when Williamson tried to move. Former reliever John Switzer and his wife heard scratching behind the headboard. When they investigated, they discovered a painting where a woman appeared to be clawing at the canvas, trying to escape. The hotel has been investigated by paranormal experts numerous times. The elevators have been checked after guests reported being taken to floors they did not select. No mechanical fault has ever been found. When a painting comes alive and professional sportsmen flee in terror, you know something is deeply wrong. But what happens when the spirits are soldiers who never made it home? Number 6. The Don Cesar in St. Pete Beach. On the white sand beaches rises one of Florida's most recognizable landmarks. The Don Cesar is a massive pink hotel that has dominated the shoreline since 1928. But the story of this building begins decades earlier, with a broken heart. In the 1890s, a young American named Thomas Rowe fell deeply in love with a Spanish opera singer named Lucinda while studying in London. She was performing in an opera called Mauritania, where the hero was named Don Cesar de Bazan. Their love affair was passionate, but doomed. Her family disapproved and forced them apart. Rowe returned to America and made his fortune, but never forgot her. Decades later, he built this grand hotel and named it after the character in the opera where they had met. The Don Cesar was his monument to lost love. Thomas Rowe died in 1940, still mourning the woman he could never have. His ghost has been seen ever since. Guests describe a man in a linen suit and Panama hat strolling through the courtyard or pausing on the grand staircase. Sometimes he stands beside a beautiful woman in a flowing Spanish gown, her dark hair unmistakable. Thomas and Lucinda, reunited in death. During the Second World War, the hotel became a military hospital for wounded soldiers, housing up to 650 patients at its peak. Not all survived. Guests report ghostly figures in bathroom mirrors. Footsteps echo down empty corridors. The soft scent of perfume drifts by with no one around. Some believe these are restless spirits of soldiers who died within these walls. A hotel built for forbidden love, transformed into a place of wartime death. But our next destination holds something older and far more sinister. Number 5. The Florida House Inn on Amelia Island. On Amelia Island stands the oldest continuously operating hotel in Florida. The Florida House Inn was built in 1857 by David Yulee's Florida Railroad Company, intended to serve travelers on the new railway line. When Confederate forces retreated in 1862, Union officers took over as their quarters. The building has hosted Ulysses S. Grant and members of the Carnegie and Rockefeller families. But the living guests are not the only ones who have checked in over the past century and a half. The inn is home to at least 2 spirits. One is a melancholy male ghost who appears sad and lost, as though searching for something he cannot find. The other is far more unsettling. A female spirit is known to climb into bed with guests who stay in her former room. She is believed to be the wife of a former owner, Major Letty. Staff members report smelling Ms. Letty's distinctive perfume in corridors where no one has passed. Her antique shoes sometimes vanish from their display case, only to reappear in a different location days later. A ghost who climbs into bed with you is disturbing enough. But what happens when a man is found hanging in his hotel room and his presence never leaves? Number 4. The Casa Resort in St. Augustine. St. Augustine is the oldest continuously inhabited European settlement in the United States. The city has been accumulating ghosts for over 450 years. The Casa Resort was built in 1888 by Franklin W. Smith in Moorish Revival style, with towers and arches that evoke the palaces of southern Spain. In 2024, it was voted one of the top 25 most haunted historic hotels in America. The most infamous incident occurred in room 511. A guest checked in but never came down. When staff entered, they found his body hanging from the ceiling. No explanation was ever given. Guests who have stayed in that room report icy winds moving through despite closed windows. They discover cold spots in certain corners that defy explanation. The 4th floor is considered the most haunted in the entire building. Staff hear children running and playing when the entire floor is unoccupied. Some housekeepers refuse to clean certain suites on their own. One housekeeper knocked on a suite door before entering. A voice responded clearly, "We have been expecting you." She opened the door, expecting to find a family. The room was completely empty. Multiple witnesses have reported seeing elegantly dressed figures waltzing through the hallways late at night in fashions of the 1920s, moving gracefully through beams of moonlight before fading into transparency and vanishing completely. Spectral dancers and phantom children are one thing, but the hotel we visit next has a murdered gangster who has been playing tricks on guests for nearly a century. Number 3. The Biltmore Hotel in Coral Gables. In 1926, George Merrick and John Bowman created a masterpiece. The Biltmore Hotel became a National Historic Landmark in 1996. Its soaring tower and Mediterranean architecture made it an instant icon. But its beauty masked a darker purpose. During Prohibition, the hotel became a gathering place for gangsters and bootleggers. They hosted illegal gambling operations and lavish parties where champagne flowed despite the law. In 1929, a gangster named Thomas Walsh, known as Fatty, got into a dispute during a gambling session on the 13th floor. Another gangster settled the argument with a bullet. Fatty Walsh has never left. Staff report that his ghost opens doors for waitresses carrying heavy trays, writes messages on bathroom mirrors, steals lampshades, and turns lights on and off. His favorite trick involves the elevators. Guests press their floor button, but find themselves delivered to the 13th floor instead. This requires a keycard they do not possess. The elevators have been inspected countless times. No fault has ever been discovered. One couple pressed the button for the 4th floor, but ended up on the 13th. The wife stepped out and the doors slammed shut immediately. When her husband returned with staff, she was visibly shaken. She had heard footsteps approaching, followed by the sounds of talking and laughing. Cigar smoke filled the corridor. But she was completely alone. A murdered gangster who writes on bathroom mirrors is terrifying. But our next hotel has ghosts so active that housekeepers wore protective herbs just to do their jobs. Number 2. The Angebilt Hotel in Orlando. Before Orlando became synonymous with theme parks, it was a boom town riding the wave of Florida's land speculation frenzy. The Angebilt Hotel opened in 1923 as a shining example of luxury during those optimistic years. Just 1 year later, the original owner declared bankruptcy. The hotel was forced to shut down temporarily. It reopened under new ownership, but misfortune seemed woven into the very foundation. The building passed through multiple owners over the following century. Today, it houses offices and restaurants, far removed from its original purpose as a grand hotel. But remnants of its tragedies and ghosts seem reluctant to leave. Employees report cold spots drifting through hallways like unseen figures passing by. Voices, faint but urgent, echo through empty corridors after the building has been locked. Those who stay late hear people gathering, laughing, clinking glasses in celebration. But when they investigate, they find only darkness and empty rooms. The most unsettling encounters happen in the restrooms. Employees have entered a cubicle only to find the door stuck, refusing to unlock no matter how hard they try. The sound of a woman screaming has been reported echoing through the building. No source has ever been identified. Whatever happened within these walls during the hotel's long and troubled history, the echoes remain. Phantom parties that echo through empty halls, doors that trap you inside. But nothing can prepare you for number 1. Number 1. The Seven Sisters Inn in Ocala. In the heart of Ocala stands a Victorian bed and breakfast that does not hide what it is. The Seven Sisters Inn actively markets itself as the most haunted accommodation in Florida. There are 7 distinct spirits residing on the property. Among them are Emma and Ben Reinauer, the original residents who apparently decided never to leave. 3 playful children make their presence known through giggles and footsteps on the stairs. A flirtatious spirit named George makes his affections felt toward female guests. And then there is Arthur, described as mischievous, and Gentleman Jack, a cigar-smoking ladies' man. Objects move on their own. Doors open and close without anyone touching them. Cigar smoke appears where smoking has been prohibited for decades. At one point, the paranormal activity became so intense that housekeepers routinely wore sage pinned to their lapels to ward off spirits while they cleaned. They were genuinely afraid of what they might encounter in empty rooms. One guest reported waking to find her blankets being slowly pulled off the bed. She watched in frozen terror as the fabric moved inch by inch toward the floor, manipulated by hands she could not see. Another guest captured a photograph of a face forming in the steam of a bathroom mirror. The features were indistinct, but unmistakably human. 10 hotels, centuries of history, countless spirits who refuse to check out. From murdered gangsters to heartbroken lovers, from drowned children to soldiers who never made it home, the ghosts of Florida are countless, and they are waiting. They walk the corridors after midnight. They sit at the foot of your bed. They whisper your name in the darkness. And when you turn off the lights and pull the covers up to your chin, they stand in the corner of your room and watch you sleep. The only question is whether you are brave enough to book a room and find out for yourself. Because in these hotels, checkout time is optional. But for some guests, it never comes at all. The dead are patient. They have been waiting for decades. And tonight, they are waiting for you.